Okay, everybody, thanks very much for being here and wanting to join with me in learning how to avoid the 3 biggest social media mistakes. When Lynn asked me to speak on this topic, I randomly named, I said, yes, I can come up with 3. I came up with 11 or 12 and winnowed them down to 3, although I cheated a little bit on one of them, as you'll very shortly see. Social media has an enormous amount of power that other forms of media do not have. And that's because of what people call its viral nature. And that means that everything that you do in social media gets amplified because people share it. And in many cases, who they're sharing it with are people who have a built-in trust for them. So you're not sharing it in the sense that we used to talk about broadcast. You're sharing it in the sense of what we're calling, friends and family cast. And because they have amplified trust, they are much more likely to continue spreading the word. So everything that you do that can be shared over social media, whether by you or by someone else, has a lot more power than you might realize unless you're already pretty much immersed in it. But that also means that you have an incredibly valuable tool for spreading the stories about pets who have special needs and need a little extra help, are a little bit harder to place. That is the intimacy of social media because it is a very powerful storytelling medium. I'm not talking about, as you keep talking about the 3-legged dog, because we all know you put that dog in conventional media, you tell somebody about it, that's a great, as you say, an easy sell. But for animals who are shy, who need to be developed, who need to be brought along, the storytelling capability of social media is huge. So what we want to do is talk a little bit about making sure that as you are getting involved in social media and as you're using it, that you use your powers for good and not for evil. And that's why I want you to avoid these big mistakes. The biggest mistake that you can possibly make in social media is not being there. You can truly miss the greatest opportunity of today for helping to find homes for all the pets in your shelters, for raising money, for recruiting volunteers. Someone said, how can I get foster homes? Social media is a fantastic way to get foster homes because your current foster families have friends and they have family and they have social networks and they can ask those people, hey, I'm doing this great thing. You all know how much I love it. Do you want to do it too? Let's get going. So it's really critical that you not make the mistake of not being there. A lot of people aren't there because they don't know how to do it. And I want to make sure that everybody here gets the opportunity to understand how you get onto Facebook, how you get onto YouTube, and how you get onto Twitter. And so I created a resource sheet which Lynn has passed around, and it has links to all that information. A lot of it's on the Maddie's Fund website, and you also have my contact information. If you're not sure about any of those places that I'm sending you, if you need a little extra help, feel free to reach out to me. The reason that you need to be on Facebook is because if Facebook were a nation, it would be the 3rd largest country in the world. More than half the people in America have a Facebook account, okay? I'm just curious how many of you can reach out to a social network that's the 3rd largest country in the world with your marketing messages. You can do that on Facebook, and you can do it for free because Facebook pages cost nothing. So I really encourage you to, if you are not already using Facebook, as an organization, as a rescue group, as a shelter, to make sure that you are doing it. It is, right now today, it is the most powerful social media venue out there. That could change. I don't anticipate it changing in the next couple of years. It's sort of become like Google. Facebook has put its tentacles into everything, everywhere. You can log into your local newspaper to comment with your Facebook account. You can buy things now with your Facebook account. It's gotten pretty powerful. So I really, if you do nothing else in social media, create a Facebook page for your organization. And I'll explain just a tiny bit more about that in a minute, but I'll also touch here on Twitter. Twitter is, in my mind, a fantastic tool. I personally love it. I've seen a lot of shelters and rescue groups make fantastic use of it. Bonnie talked a little bit about some of her networking with her local newspapers through Twitter to drive up hits to them. But if you're going to skip one, because we all have limited resources, Twitter's the one I'd say you can skip with the least ill effect. YouTube, I love YouTube for shelters because, you know, the internet was built on cute kitty videos, and that is where you are going to find these fantastic creative adoption efforts. Bonnie already told you about their great adoption celebration video. I don't know how many of you during the recent Super Bowl saw what the Wisconsin Humane Society did with its Packer Pups promotions. Absolutely incredible. Go to the Wisconsin Humane Society's YouTube channel and watch these things. They were utterly adorable. They were all featuring shelter dogs dressed up in Green Bay Packers t-shirts. In addition to adopting all the animals, they got national media exposure from that. They were in the New York Times, and they also sold out of Green Bay Packers dog t-shirts in their gift store. So definitely don't overlook YouTube. If you have somebody on your staff, one of your volunteers who's into video, you can make pretty good videos with your iPhone now. I've done it. You know, definitely, but that is sort of my triage. Is you have got to be on Facebook. Twitter and YouTube are fantastic ideas, but don't miss the opportunity of being on Facebook. Now, that said, there are a lot of things that you can do when you do get to Facebook and other social media that are mistakes. And I want to make sure that you don't make one of the biggest, and I see this constantly on my own Facebook page, watching animal welfare organizations and rescue groups who have made a Facebook profile for their organization instead of a Facebook page. And I know that this is maybe going to seem picky to you, but Facebook profiles are for individual people using their real names. It is a violation of Facebook's terms of service to create a Facebook profile for your dog, for your rescue group, for an imaginary friend, or for yourself in a name that's not your actual name. And Facebook will delete it if they realize you've done that. They will also freeze it and later delete it if you hit 5,000 friends, because they figure then you're not really a person, because none of us is going to have 5,000 friends. And if you draw attention, if you're successful in social media, in Facebook, and you hit that great 5,000 mark, which is really not low, not that high for an organization, you're going to lose your account. You're going to lose all those people. You will have no way to contact them. You will lose everything. And this is a terrible blow for many, many rescue groups in particular who have simply lost their network overnight because they unknowingly created a Facebook profile for their organization instead of their page. Facebook used to just delete them. Fortunately, they saw the light, and they have now created a pathway for you to migrate your erroneously created Facebook profile to a Facebook page. If you're not sure which one you have, do you have to approve friend requests? If you do, you accidentally created a profile. Pages get liked, and the like is automatic. You don't have to approve it in any way, shape, or form. So I have put a link to the information on how to fix that mistake on the handout, but this is really something I see a lot. Does anybody have any questions about Facebook pages versus profiles? Yay. Okay, that's great then. The second mistake that I see animal welfare organizations make on their Facebook pages and in social media is being a bully. And that means shutting down anyone who disagrees with you, freaking out when somebody criticizes you or even asks a question you suspect is critical, and especially if you get any kind of negative public reaction for something you did on your Facebook page, on your Twitter account, whatever. You will be punished relentlessly for being a bully in social media. It is against the culture of how social media works. And this veers a little bit off into something that's not really specifically related to social media, which is crisis PR. And I hope that all of you have thought about crisis PR, because it's how you respond publicly when you either have screwed up or people think you did. Every animal welfare organization, the entire animal welfare movement, needs to understand a little bit more than we do about crisis PR. And it is, a classic example, the pet food recall of 2007. Everybody who got caught in that was tarnished by it. You don't come out of these battles clean no matter what you do. But the companies that stood up and said, we screwed up, we're fixing it, we're changing our procedures, we're sorry, and here's what we're going to do to make it right, came out of it with their public reputations intact and have continued to be respected by consumers and people in the pet food industry. And companies that tried to blow it off, especially the smaller companies, lost their public reputations. To this day, at Pet Connection, the pet food safety is one of our top topics that we blog about, and we're kind of the go-to place whenever there's anything going wrong. And I'm telling you, those companies that did a bad job, every time some little tiny, virtually meaningless thing happens, everybody descends again like vultures and brings up every stupid thing that they did in the past. And the companies that stood up and were good, we never hear about them anymore, even when things go wrong. So I encourage you to, if you haven't already, make sure that you have some kind of understanding of crisis PR. There's a great article on it on the Maddie's Fund website. I did not include it in my resources, but the worst thing that you can do when somebody starts criticizing you is shutting them up. Don't delete their comment and ban them if all they've done is criticize you. If they are actually physically disrupting your page, in other words, if they're coming in and slamming you with dozens or hundreds of comments, by all means ban them. Ban them because they are disrupting your page and making it impossible for people to use it. But don't ban them because they have criticized you. As Bonnie pointed out, she's got a vehement critic there who actually gave her a fantastic idea. You just have to make sure that the person who is in charge of your social media understands that saying, you guys, ours suck, or I hate this, that, or the other thing that you did, or how can you have a, adoption event related to XYZ, it's offensive. You have to make sure that the person who is handling your social media doesn't just delete those and then ban the person, because that is bullying and it will get you nowhere. Social networks are social. They're intended for people to talk to each other. You can be in social media and have it be one way, where you're just putting out promotions and adoption messages and pets in need of homes. But real successful social media plays on the social connection, and the person who is doing your social media will speak to the people who come to their Facebook page. They will interact with the people who talk to them on Twitter. They will answer comments left on their YouTube videos. They will engage with people. Not listening is a mistake that many companies make, and I see it 50-50 in animal welfare organizations. Some of you become very, very engaged with your followers and your fans and your friends. Others, it's like it's a press release machine, and you pay no attention to it at all. And I really encourage you, any of you who want more donors, who want more adopters, who want more volunteers, and who want more foster homes, to please consider having someone in your organization to engage with people through social media and draw them in for that purpose, because it carries an extra element of trustworthiness, communications that people make. You can also reach people through social media that you can't get to any other way. I've tried to get people for an interview and then not been able to get them going through the front door through their publicist or their publisher or whoever, their university if they're a veterinarian in an academic setting. And I've just tweeted them. And 5 minutes later, I was on the phone with them. So, this is still a powerful medium with this extra built-in bit of trust. So you should really be taking advantage of that. I heard a lot of you in here talking today about wanting more of those things I just named. And, you know, they're out there on social media, and they are giving money. They're giving money for pets to have operations. I once raised, I can't remember the exact figures, about $5,000 for a little white dog who needed surgery and a bunch of follow-up medical care up in Canada. And I raised it in about 3 days just through social media. And, you know, these are the power of using social storytelling and asking people to help you and to spread the word to your network as well. Which brings me to mistake number 3, which is misunderstanding the viral nature of social. You got to remember, viral in social media is a good thing, and so you don't want to pass up the power of that good, but you also don't want to screw it up. And I think that is one of the things that I learned. I do the social media for the Shelter Pet Project, which is a joint project of Maddie's fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council. And we have a Facebook page with about, I can't remember, 40,000 some odd followers. And we do stories about pets. And as far as the research that was done for this project found that, I'm sure you've all seen this, there was similar research done by PetSmart Charities that found that many more people say they're willing or intend to adopt a pet from shelter than actually follow through on it. And we dug down in our research into what was stopping them. And people are afraid that the pets have too much baggage, that the pets are damaged in some way, that they have behavior or health problems that they aren't going to be able to handle. They're fearful of that. That is their perception, that pets are in shelters because there's something wrong with them. And that is the biggest obstacle, according to our research. And I've looked at the data from PetSmart Charities, and although they frame it a little differently, I believe their data actually supports the exact same conclusion, which is that people are hesitating to follow through on even their decisions to adopt because they think there's something wrong with the pets. So you're all sitting here, and we're all asking ourselves about these treatable pets. We're actually talking about this very topic. But you know that the fact that the pet needs some treatment doesn't actually stop people from adopting them. What I have observed is stopping them is a very bad feeling that is being created in them by the way we often choose to market and publicize the sad stories of pets. When you market sad stories of pets, it needs to be inspiring. It cannot be soul-killing. But it so often is, and that is a terrible danger because of this important statistic that I hope you'll all look at the screen and read. I made this pie chart. It's very hard for me. I'm not very graphic. All of the rescue people who respond to these tragic stories already have as many pets as we can adopt. If we want to cross this last frontier and find homes to guarantee adoption to every healthy and treatable pet in America, we have to broaden the pool of our adopters to include the people who do not respond to those messages that have been successful for us in the past in reaching people like us. And our first tier of adopters who, the more heartrending the story, the faster they want to bring it into their homes. We want to get the parent who is looking for the dog or cat who's going to sleep at the foot of their kid's bed. And believe me, they do not want to walk into a room and think that every other animal in that room will die except the one they take home. They don't want to hear about their post-traumatic stress disorder. They want to believe that even if they need a little help, a little treatment, maybe even if they need a little cart, that this is still going to be an uplifting and positive experience that will fun and fulfillment. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to stop allowing your organization's message to be carried for you by people who think that you will motivate someone into the shelter by making them feel bad or guilty or fearful, because those things shut people down. They are not encouraging. They are not good marketing messages. This is not how you're going to spread your message to a broader pool of adopters than you already have. And I don't know how well you'd be able to see this, but this I took off my own Facebook page. I wiped out the identifying information. I see 100 of these a week. We all hate them, and if you don't, you should. You know, some of us joke about them, although really it's not funny, but it's like, we'll die tomorrow in a gas chamber heart stick shelter, come now, hurry, hurry, no chance, no reprieve, dies tomorrow. This is soul-killing, folks. This is terrible. And the problem is, once upon a time, when we had rescue lists, email lists that were private, we could spread these messages and we knew who they were reaching. But this is what I'm talking about when I talk about the viral nature. You can't control who sees your messages. They're going to go out through social media, and even if you sent them by email, they are going to be spread by other people. And you have got to be careful in how you're framing these things, because what you're doing is you are poisoning the pool of potential adopters, not just for that pet, but for all your pets, from all pets all over America. People are sleeping in their cars, folks. People are living in their parents' garages. People are pulling their kids out of school. Times are hard. Families break up, and that includes their pets. And I don't think we're here to judge. We're here to find the animals good outcomes. So that's my personal belief. Again, it's about the message of your organization. You should think about this. You should have an idea in advance of how you want to handle these things, and you should follow through. But also communicate to people. Say, we feel really strongly that we should focus on the animals, and we should direct all that energy toward helping this animal find a great outcome, because, whatever happened with the people, we don't know, and that's not our task. Something like that. But tell them why you're doing it. Tell them that you're doing it and why. And, we've all been there with wanting to just clobber somebody for doing something catastrophically stupid or cruel with a pet. But other than venting, does it actually do any good to beat that drum over and over and over? No. I would argue that it's exactly the same problem of creating this paralytic, negative, burned out, brick wall kind of feeling that we all experience, and then because of social media's viral potential, poisoning your pool of adopters with that attitude, which is going to get you absolutely nowhere. So when I say to make your messages positive, I'm really telling you to make them inspiring. They will have negative things in them. There is, especially if you're trying to raise money, there is nothing wrong with making people cry. But you have really got to promise them their happy ending. Imply it, ask them to make it happen, give it to them yourself, or they're going to shut down. There's only so many sad-eyed pets gazing out between the bars while sad music plays that people can stand. We get a lot of feedback on ads from the Shelter Pet Project of people saying, oh, thank God, they're funny. Oh, finally, thank you. Because, we all get to that point. And when you're telling these stories and you're taking advantage, when you're turning the potential downside of the viral nature of social media into the upside, using its power for good, don't forget to actually ask, to straight up ask your followers to spread your message. Say, right there on Twitter, I follow an enormous number of social media and PR, blogs and newsletters, and they always say the same thing. Ask them to spread it. Say, please share this, please retweet this, please ask your friends and family to like us. Just ask them. They will do it, they will respond. It costs them nothing, it's very easy, they're used to it. Don't be shy. You will get the response of this little Facebooking kitten who, instantly is going to go share that on their Facebook page, that you are having a fundraising event, that you want volunteers, that you want foster homes. You absolutely must take advantage of this incredible power. Again, you can raise money for an animal who needs help. And, the cumbersome nature of traditional media, and I came out of a newspaper background, so, I'm 52 years old. I went to journalism school in the late 70s. there was no internet. I remember microfiche. I mean, you know, I've seen the entire, you know, I used to have a Rolodex. I mean, you know, now all I have is my phone, which is telling me, oh, I am fine. I better talk more slowly. I get it. I get the whole big circle. But when I'm talking about the section that's in social media, the speed of it is so unbelievable. And you can't wait. I'm going to single Barbara Carr. Are you still in here? Wave your hand. The disaster in Alabama, the tornadoes. Lynn Fridley from Maddie's Fund lives in Alabama. She communicated the problem to me. I put it out on the Shelter Pet Project Facebook page. It got picked up and spread. Then I heard this fantastic promotion that Barbara's doing where they're going to be donating the proceeds, or part of the proceeds of their adoptions, to the shelters and animals in need in Alabama, which is an incredible idea. This has to get out instantly. You can't wait. You cannot wait for a press release. You cannot wait to get a reporter down there tomorrow. But you have your Facebook page and your Twitter feed, and you can put it out. You don't have to wait. You can put it out 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's free, and it is easy. Yeah.
I'm from RSPCA.
You know, and this brings up, I have a really good friend in Australia, and I know Lynn has friends in Australia too, and this is something I followed quite a bit, is looking at people who lost their power. So they had no internet, and they had no electricity, and they often had no phones, but there was still cellular technology, and it was still mostly working. And you've all seen the stories coming out of, you know, Egypt and just now in Japan, and the people who are, the incredible efforts that are made when people can't get any form of traditional or conventional communication or even, you know, water, but they can get on their phone and they can tweet and they can go to Facebook and post something. The Japanese animal welfare organizations had Facebook pages, and they were, you know, in a position where they literally didn't have running water, but they were able to use their cell phones to get onto Facebook and ask people to help them with the pets. It is an unbelievable tool, the power of which I think a lot of people really don't appreciate fully. And again, I just keep saying this, but it's free. It's instant, it's free, it takes nothing but a little time. And if you do not have a volunteer or a staffer in your organization who's wired in like this, go find one. You know, go find some 4th grader, because seriously, you know, this is a moment in time that we will never see again. They're going to find a way to monetize this and disempower it. But right now, today, you can have a PR campaign that 20 years ago would have cost you $1 million for nothing but, you know, one volunteer giving you a few hours a day. And, you know, I didn't ask this question deliberately in the beginning, but I'm going to ask it now. How many of you who are here from an organization, does that organization have a Facebook page? Awesome. That's really great. How many of you have a YouTube channel? Good. How many of you are on Twitter? The organization, not yourself personally. Okay, now I'm going to ask a different set of questions. How many of you have a Facebook profile for yourself as an individual? That's great. And how many of you have a Twitter account? Ooh, okay. Maybe I'll start changing my advice. You must be on Twitter. And how many of you check your Facebook page at least once a day? Or I'm sorry, I mean your profile, your personal Facebook. Okay, that's small. Okay. Well, I'm making up for you. I check mine, what do you think, Lynn, 90,000 times a day. I was checking it during this whole conference. You know, I can't help it. I'm compulsive that way. But I think that it is very valuable, but not essential, that you try and find the time to get into the Facebook culture if you are doing animal welfare work, especially if you have anything to do with the community. There are a lot of people. I actually heard 2 guys talking at lunch, and they were from this conference because they had the little lanyards and tags on. and they were talking about how they hate social media and how they hate people who want to follow them on Facebook instead of being their friend in real life and everything. And I really understand that everyone likes different things. I love being social online, but other people prefer not to. I get that, but I don't think you have the luxury anymore of not really understanding how social networks work. You can't have a successful animal welfare effort anymore without it. Whether you run into a disaster situation, where, like what's happening right now in Alabama, where organizing through social media could mean the difference between life and death, not just for your pets, but for you and your families too. You know, in Japan, one of the things that was happening is that there were potentially announcements being made that were perhaps not true, and people were concerned about their safety, and they were arguing with the official story through social media and saying, you know, no, it's not safe to be within X number of miles of these power plants, no matter what we're being told. And the radiation levels are higher. Now, obviously, that can go into insanity and paranoia, but you know, the bottom line is that you really don't have the luxury in this field of not knowing how Facebook works, because you should be using it yourself. You should be out there. I do encourage you to explore it. If you don't have a Facebook profile for yourself, I encourage you to create one, and when you sign up, it will ask you for access to your email account, and it will look for other people that you know who are there, ask them to be your friends. Again, feel free to email me. Get familiar with it, but at least ask somebody in your organization who knows about it to be a presence on your Facebook page, and look at what they're saying. If you already have someone doing that, or if it's you who's doing it, you know, go through and look. What are you saying? Are you commenting back to the people who comment to you? One somewhat annoying thing about Facebook pages is that when someone leaves you a comment, you will not get an email letting you know, as you will on your own personal page. But if you like your own post, or if you comment on it yourself, you can get an email notification. So sometimes you should be your own first comment, because then you'll know if someone leaves a comment or asks a question. But try, if you don't personally have the time to be present on your own Facebook page, try and find a volunteer or a staffer who will. But don't just throw them out there and say, yeah, here's the password, go deal. Talk about what is okay, what is not okay, what would prompt someone being banned from the page. I tend to ban, of course, spammers. Commercial spam should be banned. Facebook has an incredibly good spam filter, but it doesn't catch everything, and sometimes it catches things it shouldn't. You need to release those. And you want to make sure that they aren't going to be a bully, and that they will respond to people. If people say, you know, I saw a disastrous hoarding situation at a very large, very wealthy, very well-known shelter where people were posting on their Facebook wall asking what they could do to help. None of those had an answer, but they found the time to remove the posts from and ban anyone who said what they didn't want being said, which is, you know, are you just going to kill all these dogs or whatever? And I'm not saying they should have allowed 700 unrestricted posts criticizing them, but if they had the time to go in and remove those and ban all those people, they had the time to answer the other people and tell them how they could help. That's what I mean. That's being a bully. And I will always remember that they did this, and so will everyone who was banned, who unfortunately was just about every powerful pet blogger in America. So this organization is a permanent black eye now, and they're never going to get over it. We're going to remember 20 years from now, we're still going to be going, do you remember the time they banned us all from, nobody banned me, but I didn't post. So anyway, so you see where I'm going with this. It's like this really has become too important to be left to chance, or to be an afterthought, or to be blown off, or to be actually made into something that hurts you. And again, that's something I'm seeing way too often. I am absolutely thrilled, however, at how many of you raised your hand and said that your organizations had a presence. I think it was probably 2 years ago at No More Homeless Pets Conference, it was only about 25% of the groups. So in just those 2 years, that is really encouraging and great. So I'm actually done. This is my email address. You can email me. And that is not my dog, but I thought he was awfully cute. And but my dog doesn't know how to type either. Thank you very much.